Happy New Moon family. It's your boy Hardwood Skip, and we're back here in the month of June. We're gonna react to Jimmy Harrell's latest upload. He's already the best player in the world. I'm not gonna say who it is. We gotta look into this video to see who it is. It may be Wemby, Shai, or LeBron. But let's lock in and see who it is.
LeBron James all the way up to number 2 on your all-time list. I have him at 9.
Look at me, I'm a Spurs fan. My team is perfectly run and well respected. My franchise player's a 9'7" French alien with high emotional intelligence.
Why did Wemby do that? Did you see he didn't let him touch the trophy? He didn't let OKC fans touch his MVP trophy. Oh,
Well respected. My franchise player's a 9'7" French alien with high emotional intelligence.
The NBA Finals are here, which means we've got some hot takes to look at today. Playoff edition. The good ones, the bad ones, and the downright atrocious. After 6 weeks of NBA playoff basketball, we are now down to just 2 teams. And while Knicks and Spurs fans get to enjoy the exhilarating experience of watching their team fight for an NBA title, the rest of us have been relegated to watch from the sidelines as we spew out hot takes about teams we couldn't beat. And today, we're going to take a look at some of these takes. Starting with this one that comes from a fan who asks, is Wemby the quickest someone has ever climbed to arguably #1 in the league? Wemby's in year 3. Neither LeBron or MJ ascended to #1 so quickly. And this is interesting because there's 2 parts to this take. The first part is that Wemby is arguably the best player in the world. And the second is that no one else has been the best player in the world by the end of their 3rd season. Both of those statements a bit subjective. I think it's definitely fair to say that Victor Wembanyama is arguably the best player in the world right now. If it's not him, then it's Jokic or Shai. And
now for real, for me, I was thinking at first that it was going to be Nikola Jokic because this man plays in comparison to Larry Bird. Because now we all know that Wemby is a Gagaton talent out to clean his sheets in the forefront of the league. And you see, it's fact because he is the quickest to reach the MVP compared to the other players from back then, bro. Even LeBron couldn't do that in his 3rd year. Wemby is the first player to do that. And I feel like this is why the hate is coming from all angles, man.
regardless of who you pick, there's no wrong answer. But the key word here is arguably. So has any other player in NBA history climbed to be arguably the best player in the league by year 3? And the answer is yeah. Wilt Chamberlain won a league MVP as a rookie. By the end of Kareem's 3rd season, he led the league in scoring twice, had 2 MVPs, a finals MVP, and was definitively the best player in the NBA. Larry Bird was the runner-up in MVP voting in his 2nd and 3rd seasons in the league and was arguably the best player in the league. And of course, there's Michael Jordan, who, despite not having the hardware as tangible proof, was generally regarded as one of, if not the best player in the world by the end of his 3rd season in '87.
My bad. At first, I said no one had done that. And Will Chamberlain, we know he's the first person to hit 100 points a game. And look at the list. These are players that have hit the MVP the 3rd year. We got Will, we got Michael Jordan, we got a bunch of others. And now in the current league, in the current season, Wemby is the first to do it. So my bad for saying no one has ever done it in the NBA history.
Now, looking into more recent NBA history, there's Shaquille O'Neal, who was arguably the best player in the league by '95, neck and neck with David Robinson and Hakeem Olajuwon. Although Shaq held the crown by 2000, in Tim Duncan's 3rd season, he was in conversations as the best player in the league after leading the Spurs to a championship in just his 2nd season. Another prodigy with an underrated early career is Kevin Durant, who was regarded as virtually the only player who could go toe-to-toe with a prime LeBron by his 3rd season in the league in 2010. He finished 2nd in MVP voting, and although he wasn't the best player in the world, he was next in line by his 3rd season. And then there's Derrick Rose, who wasn't regarded as the best player in the world by the end of year 3, but he did get an award, a small consolation prize for his efforts. And of course, there's year 3 LeBron, who ascended in the 2000s with a crowd of all-time greats. By the end of his 3rd season, there wasn't a definitive best player in the world. Between Dirk, Kobe, Nash, Duncan, the conversation was pretty open for interpretation. But there's no denying he was certainly in it, finishing 2nd in MVP voting in his 3rd season in the league. The moral of this story being that throughout modern NBA history, even amongst the greatest players of all time, there probably hasn't been a single player that was the consensus #1 player in the world by the end of year 3. Wemby falls in the same category as LeBron and Shaq and Jordan and Bird, making a very strong case as arguably the best player in the league.
Now, this is it. Wemby being in the category of Shaq, LeBron, and Michael Jordan, bro, it says a lot. I mean, this is why he's called the alien, because I don't know how this man, he's 6'7", and he should be put in the same category as Bobo, not for the MVP category. But when it comes to balling, I don't know why Bobo isn't shining as much as Wemby does. But you see that it's actually mind blowing in some way, because you see someone like this, and if you've watched Wemby's gameplays, bro, you definitely be lost. He's like an oppressor in the courts.
I wouldn't say he's definitively the best player in the world, but I'd say being in the same sentence as those guys is a good consolation. Now, this next take comes from a fan who says you could replace Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with 30 different players, and the Thunder still win the title. And if this isn't evidence that SGA has the worst PR of any superstar of his era, I don't know what is. 30 players? You know what the Thunder's record is this season? 5-13. You know their record without him? 8-6. 84% win percentage with Shai, 57% win percentage without him. The Thunder's record over the last 3 seasons with Shai? 204 and 56. 78% win percentage. Their record without Shai? 15-12.
How do you see? Do you see why y'all shouldn't be hating on Shai? In my recent video, I talked about this. His foul baiting, his style of play, it was all about strategy. And you see this man learned and he practiced to get it. And this is what he has done for his team so far. For the last 3 seasons, they've got 204 wins. And their losses was just 12. And you see here now, this is without him. They've had 65 wins. They got 13 losses. Do you see that Shai is a major impact for the Thunders? And he shouldn't be hated, because the foul baiting strategy is 100% good. Lots of other players do it, but it works better for him.
A mediocre 56% win percentage without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over the last 3 seasons. For perspective, from 2016 through 2018, when the Warriors had the league in a chokehold, Golden State's record with Steph Curry was 215 and 44. Their record without him was 30 and 19. A gap that is identical to the Thunder with and without Shai. Because it turns out, not only do great successful players have great impact, but they usually have great teams built around their unique skill set and talent. Time and time again, we penalize players for being a part of a good team. Fans minimize Steph because of how good the Warriors were. They downplayed LeBron in Miami because of how good the Heat were. And you can't bring up Jordan without someone mentioning how great the team around him was. But all of the true all-time greats had great teams around them. If social media existed in the 90s, all you would ever hear about is how stacked the Bulls are and the unfair advantage MJ has. Steph had the most lethal team in the history of basketball behind him. Bird and Magic played with rotations filled exclusively with Hall of Famers. This is just the way it goes. And the irony of all of it is that in many cases, the perceived caliber of the team as a whole can often be the result of the guy leading the charge. Great players make their teammates look better. You'll often hear the hypothetical of swapping player X with player Y and which team would perform better with their new star. For example, swap Jokic with SGA and the Thunder still win a championship, but the Nuggets would be in the play-in, or something like that. But that's not how basketball works. Good teams are built with intention. They are built with specificity. Shai is a great player. So is Luka Doncic. But Shai cannot do what Luka does, and Luka can't do what Shai does.
Now this is facts. You see, look at his stats now. Shea is a mid-range magician. Luka is an offensive engine. Shea is a light decision maker. And this decision making, when it comes to foul baiting, give it to Shea, bro. Luka is a playmaking maestro. And Shea is always close to championship level, bro. And Luka is the heat. Shea, Tempo King, Luka, heliocentric blueprint. And Shea is constant rim pressure. We all know that. And you're gonna say, oh, it's from free throws, he's a free throw merchant and all of that. Bro, everyone does that. Everyone. You just have to stick to your strategy and stick there. Perfect it. Even if you can't perfect it, you just play. And the moment you start winning, people, the fans are gonna hate you. Oh, because he's winning all the time, bro. That's not how it's supposed to be.
Same goes for Ant or Brunson. Great players, completely different skill sets. Great rosters are like a recipe. You need
This is what I'm talking about. Everyone got different skill set, different playmaking. So y'all shouldn't blame one man. And we get into to Wemby's gameplay too, because I'm sure they've not said the hate on Wemby yet, but it's coming. It's coming for real.
completely different skill sets. Great rosters are like a recipe. You need the right amount of the right ingredients to make it work. Change one ingredient and you risk screwing up the entire dish.
For real.
In fact, we've already seen what happens when talent is viewed as some perfectly transferable property. In the super team era, where organizations had this exact mentality, teams were slapped together with no intention, no design, no cohesion, just stacking up as much talent as possible for the sake of it. And it almost never worked out. Regardless of what you think of Shai's game, he is a very unique and very crucial ingredient to a recipe that has been perfected over the last half decade. And there are not 30 players who could fill his shoes and lead OKC to a title.
This is a hate speech here for SGA. Said you could replace SGA with 30 players and the Thunder winning championship, bro. Without Shea, yeah, the Thunders ain't gonna win nothing because you see he's the one carrying the team. I showed you the stats a few minutes ago.
This take is absurd. Now, this next take comes from a fan who says there has never been a more difficult time to win an NBA championship than right now. And I completely agree. After the Warriors ran the table on the NBA last decade, the entire meta of professional basketball shifted. Teams have gotten smarter, they've gotten deeper, and although talent will always prevail, the path to winning a ring in today's NBA requires far more than just talent to get it done. This is now the 8th season in a row that a different team will be crowned champions, the longest stretch of unique championship teams in NBA history. In fact, there have been 14 unique teams in the finals over the last 8 years. That is half the NBA. We are now creeping up on an entire era of absolute parity in the NBA. And this is in complete opposition of what we saw in previous eras. Whether it was the Celtics and Lakers winning 8 of the 10 championships in the 80s, the Bulls going 6 for 10 in the 90s, the Spurs and Lakers combining for 7 rings in the 2000s, or the Warriors winning 4 in 8 seasons. Dynasties and perpetual winning have been a staple in the NBA for decades. But due to multiple factors, such as advanced analytics giving teams the insight to optimize their rosters and game plans, teams prioritizing depth more than ever before, the rise of rotation level players and their impact on a night-to-night basis, and the league itself enacting new rules to actively fight against teams building dynasty-worthy rosters. Not only is it more challenging to win a championship now than ever before, it's more equitable. No longer do you have to have the best player on the court to win a series. No longer can you pair up a couple of mega talents and run through a conference. The 10th man off the bench can be just as pivotal in today's game as your second option.
Now this is facts, bro. This is facts. This is what I'm talking about. You can have a bunch of talents in your team, but without strategy, you don't know what you're doing. You could actually flop a team with a whole bunch of talents, bro. If your team is just so perfect, it is going to it is going to cause a lot of issues for you, bro. That's why you need to have the floppers You need to have one or two men in the team that don't know how to play really good, but he's got the brains. He's got the brains. And if you know what I'm talking about, you would understand that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the perfect example. Wemby is also an example. Wemby is not a is not a flopper. Don't take my words. Shea isn't a flopper. Don't take my words for granted. But what I'm trying to say is these men got potential and they got strategy. If you watch both plays, you will see even LeBron got a strategy too. Even Corey, the master of trees. So you can't, you can't have the most perfect team and expect to win over and over again, bro. The game's changed, man. It was back then that all this shit was important. It was working out, but now, with technology advanced and good coaches, more stored in the gameplays from the 90s and implementing it in current games today, bro. You find out that the basketball game of today is all about strategy. It's not about how perfect the players could be, bro. If I'm wrong, tell me.
The natural evolution of the game has slowly leveled the playing field for teams competing for a title, and this shrunken gap between top-end teams now leaves the margin for error small enough that truly anything can happen. We still see glimpses of all world-caliber players willing their teams to victories, but those moments have now become a rarity. Before this era of parity, LeBron James was able to will his way to 8 straight finals appearances off of sheer ability and determination. This does not happen in today's NBA. A great bench is no longer a bonus, it is a necessity. A great coach is no longer an edge, it's a requirement. Right when you think one team has separated themselves from the pack as a potential dynasty candidate, the league adjusts faster than it ever did before to counter their strengths. The basketball scale has and will always tilt in the favor of talent. One thing that remains true is that winning a championship means being in possession of one of, if not the best player in the world. But it's everything else. Depth, fit, cohesion, chemistry, schemes, rotations that has leveled the playing field and can now tilt the scale just as much. This is a great take. And our last take comes from a fan who says the regular season has become all but irrelevant, and the playoffs are the only thing that actually matters, both in terms of discourse and legacy.
Now, I will agree with this because the playoffs are when you find the most serious players. The regular season, bro, if you watch the game, you wouldn't find much seriousness than when you have in the playoffs because everyone is fighting to go to the finals, everyone is fighting to win. And definitely, this is where you see real players, bro. The playoffs exposes fake NBA players. Allow me to put it that way. Now, this take is actually a good one. But if you're a basketball head, if you're a hoop head, you should know that what I'm saying could be true.
And I could not agree more with this take. In the past, the playoffs were just a ramped up version of the regular season. Tougher defense, tendencies exaggerated, more intense matchups. The consequences of the playoffs were held to a similar regard. What a player did in the postseason mattered the most, but what they did in the regular season still mattered quite a bit. But now more than ever, the postseason has become completely disconnected from the regular season. The playoffs don't just feel more intense. At times, it actually feels like we're watching a completely different sport. And this is what happens when the regular season is comprised of some teams resting players, other teams using the regular season as one long testing ground in preparation for the playoffs, and the rest of the teams literally trying to lose as many games as possible. It has become evident that many organizations do not take the regular season seriously whatsoever. And in return, many fans are now choosing not to take it seriously either. You won the league's most prestigious award, the MVP? Well, why should I care? It doesn't even look like you do. You average 25 a night? Yeah, well, a quarter of the league isn't even trying to win games. If all you guys care about is the playoffs, then all we're going to care about is the playoffs. And now here we are, at the point where a 6-game series can hold more weight than an entire season of basketball. Legacies, reputations, the entire merits of a player's game are now decided strictly off of the playoffs. Tracy McGrady was a fantastic player, and to this day, he is rightfully remembered as such. Tracy McGrady never made it out of the first round. These days, if you win an MVP, but you don't back it up as the best player throughout the entire playoffs, you are instantly a fraud.
That's true. If you win an MVP and you don't back it up, playoffs, bro, they'll see you as a fraud. Now I feel like that is what they're doing to Shai. Well, he backs it up though. Why is everyone hate forcing this man? And for real, what Jimmy say right now, bro? Jimmy is saying the truth. We all know that's the truth.
Steve Nash won back-to-back MVPs and never made it to the finals.
Steve Nash won back-to-back MVPs and he never made it to the finals. So if you win back-to-back MVPs and you don't make it to the finals, just like I said, the playoffs exposes fake NBA players. Do you see? Most of them, they just win this shit and they feel relaxed. They don't put more effort to go in. Oh, it gets to the head. Is that what it is? I'm not saying that what it is though. I'm just saying that maybe that's what it do. Maybe.
Dominique Wilkins is a legend, a staple of 80s basketball. He also never made it to the conference finals once in his entire career. Meanwhile, I just watched Jalen Duren wash away fan support, 70 games of awesome basketball, and a max contract in just 3 weeks of bad playoff basketball. I just watched arguably the most impactful regular season of all time get dismissed because of one bad round in the playoffs. I heard someone say Joel Embiid, former league MVP, 4th highest scoring average in NBA history, one of the most talented bigs of all time, is not a Hall of Famer because of his lack of playoff success. Do I think this new standard being imposed on players today is unfair? Yeah, I really do. Not everyone's gonna win a championship. But do I also think the players and teams have done this to themselves? Yeah. The symptom of teams coasting their way through the regular season without any real sense of urgency is that we as fans now know the real test of a player's game. Actually, the only true test of their game and their abilities is in the playoffs, which inherently makes the regular season and everything that happens in it a lot less important, and everything that happens in the postseason, even if it's a 4-game sample size, the only thing that matters. And although I really wish this wasn't the current state of the league and its discourse, I agree with this take. But
Sadly, this is the truth. Sadly, they don't choose to back it up. They don't put effort. They don't want to make the players real, bro. The players, because it is their fault, man. And look at this take. The regular season is pretty much irrelevant now. The players are the only thing that actually matters when it comes to discourse and legacy. And the players, I'm still saying it again, the players exposes fake NBA stars. And I'm gonna leave you with this one. And please don't forget to subscribe and don't skip the greatness. If you feel I'm wrong, comment below. Let me know what your take is. Mind you, I didn't call anyone as the greatest player in the world. Please, if I'm wrong, comment below. And I'll see you on Sunday. I'm reacting to some World Cup content right now. I'm trying to get into the World Cup and all of that starting on June 11th. And I'm going to see you all there and expect more content. See you. Peace.